What up, YouTube? It's your boy Banks. And we back in the building, you feel me? It's True Talks. Cause True Talks, alright? Let's get straight right into it. So, man, you already know, man, the Raptors went, they had an 8-game winning streak and then they lost, 2 games back to back. Well, not back-to-back games, but 2 games in a row. And, versus the Nuggets and then versus the Nuggets and then the Pelicans. And, they bounced back with a win last night versus the Wolves, which obviously is great to see, especially entering the All-Star break. So, you want to go off on a high horse and, at least getting back to winning before you enter the break. And then, this is the most important stretch after the break where teams are literally fine-tuned, teams are getting more healthy, teams are ramping it up for the playoff push, playoff race, seeding, all that type of stuff. And not even just seeding, just going into a groove. Every team individually wants to be at their best in terms of chemistry, in terms of continuity, defensive capabilities. Just they want to be at their best as a well-oiled machine going into the playoffs, right? So that's always why the last half and the playoff push is always remarkable to see. It has some type of playoff atmosphere into it, even though we know playoffs is a whole different demon because you're only facing one team you can lock in, etc. But for the most part, this is why this is the exciting part of the season, right? We get amped for All-Star break and then mans get healthy and we just have a full push straight to the finish line. And, that's when the games get more exciting. You see more televised, national, etc. So, this is where I want to see how the Raptors respond. Guys like Scotty, guys who haven't really been in this kind of magnitude at this role that they're playing. Guys like even like Gary Trent. He's obviously been in important, meaningful games, but he's playing a different role doing it. So you want to see how he, obviously, responds. You see Van Vliet as well, too, coming fresh off an All-Star game. You want to see how he responds. Just the team in general, OG, everybody. And you want to see how they respond on every team, especially in the tough East. This is not no East like no other years. This is the tough East, right? Even though the top 3 teams in the league are from the West, from after that though, the East is like they have a lot of teams just jam packed around the same area. So which is with great records. So this is not no regular East. You got the Bulls, you got even the Nets. The fact that the Nets dropped that far, you still got the Bulls. You got you got Miami, you got Milwaukee, bruh. It's not the. You still got Boston, who's on a surge, right? You got Philadelphia. Like, you got a lot of these good, solid teams, great teams, contender teams that, like, is jam-packed in the East, right? So you want to look at it and be like, even in the teams that look like slouch, even, like, obviously the Knicks had a mishap, even the Hawks, who are hella down, they could still catch you on any given night. Like, they're not scrubs. They're just having a bad season. So, when you look at it from that aspect, like, it's tough. You can't escape any game. So I'm looking forward to that for the Raptors most definitely. But let's dive into basically what happened over the last 3 games. So, like, when you look at it, obviously versus the Nuggets, it came down to a Van Vliet shot, right? People wanted Pascal to have the ball and have a shot in that situation, especially because he was eating that game. I'm not mad at it because he was hot. But again, I told you, Nick Nurse has gone away from giving the ball to Pascal to creating one-on-one situations for a game-winning bucket because of his lack of ability that he displays or that he just possesses. It's hard to give a guy like that a game-winning shot. It's like same way with Giannis. They don't go to Giannis for clutch, right? They go to, they go to Middleton, they go to Drew. And then off of that, maybe Giannis gets it, through the handoff, a slip or whatever, but they're not just going to him ISO unless they have a comfortable lead. Or not even a comfortable lead. They're up by 2, up by 3. They have a cushion, so then now they could go to him. But for the most part, in your down scenario or a tie game scenario, like a game winner scenario, he's not really getting the rock like that. So Pascal's similar to that. He's a lower tier version of that. So, you're going to go to the Trent. You're going to go to Van Vliet. You're going to go to the OGs. Those are the ones you're going to go to. Like I said, the 3-headed monster in terms of ability, shooting, scoring, 3-level scorers. That's what those guys are becoming. And that's what they are. That's what they possess, those capabilities. So I'm going to those shot creators first before I go to Pascal. So I'm not mad at that. Like, I don't even know why people are, but I get it because, again, the context was he was killing that game, right? But for the most part, OG had the rebound and OG could have, like, this is where awareness, IQ. And I know he's thinking because it's Jokic. Like, Jokic don't be getting up for blocks. You know, OG has verticality, so he could get away with not thinking in these scenarios. He has great verticality, leaping ability, like off vert, right? Most people need run and start and need to get to their apex based off the, you know, the gather they get. But no gather, no nothing. OG could get the rebound under the basket or get a pass under the basket, literally stop, rise straight up and punch hell, and he's hella high, right? And he out jumps majority of the bigs. He out jumps bare mans. That's how he gets his contact dunks, or like dunks where man's kind of like they jump with him and they're like, right? Where it's like, oh god damn, OG's like, it's like unforeseen bounce, but you know he has bounce, but it's just the way he moves and his mechanics. He doesn't move like a guy that just you will look like has bounce like that off the gate. He's just not bouncy in all facets, like in how he runs, how he moves. He doesn't have that pep in his step. Like Levine runs on his tippy toes, like he has that diddy bop. So you know this guy has bounce, right? DeRozan as well too. Like guys like OG and certain guys is like they just have sneaky bounce. It's like he's like always jogging and lackadaisical, then boom, rise, right? Even Wiggins at times, like the way he moves. Like Wiggins is hybrid, but I don't know, maybe it's the demeanor or just the way he jogs. Like you're just looking at OG and it's like, this man, he's not gonna punch that and boom, rises punches. So those instincts that he has, or the advantage that he has in those moments where he doesn't ever have to think and have awareness about pump faking or anything like that. Most of the times, OG just gonna go up because he can out jump the guy. So now when it's Jokic in his head, he's just like, what? Bro, I'm going up. When he got off the rebound, right? Which was a great rebound. But Jokic, again, is still a big body. And when men are trying, something new comes out. When it's those moments where it's like game winning, like when you're trying, no, I'm not allowing that. Now you're jumping without thinking. And, you know, you see new athleticism from Jokic in that moment. And he didn't anticipate that. He underestimated that OG, and then he got punched. That's why he even went for a layup. If he knew, if that was like Gobert, he might go for a dunk, right? You know, his two-hand and stuff like that. But the fact that it's Jokic, like, what? Rebound, high lay on a Friday, a bucket, right? But, you know, Jokic punched and blocked it. I thought that OG he had enough time on the clock to have awareness to just head fake, and then you'll draw the foul, or you get an easy bucket off the head fake. You had enough time, way more than enough time. It was like 2.5, something like that. But, you know, OG just went up with the instincts, you know, obviously. And that's a detailed just psyche of a player's mind when you don't have to think about ever pump faking or like using IQ and, you know, having those type of intangibles, because you can just athletically jump over. So when you see that with Westbrook, he doesn't have to pump fake, head fake, reverse pivot, anything, because he can just blow by, you know why, and go up for the layup. So he doesn't have to apply those moves. So now when you're cut off and now you're forced to maybe apply those moves, it's like, what do I do, right? You don't have to ever think about that. So you don't live and operate on that type of IQ level. That's where OG will learn from his mistake and know that, okay, maybe I should scan this scenario. It doesn't matter who's in front of me or who the person is. The fact that I got a rebound and they know I could go up quick and the clock says go up quick, they're going to jump. You got to use that to that advantage and counter them off of their, you know, kind of just reaction, their own natural reaction. That's how guys get killed on pump fakes at three-point line, etc. You step back, I got beat. Your action is just contest, so I don't look like Fugazi, pump fake, draw foul. You see Wade do that. You see all these guys do it, especially in this league now. You see them do it. So you got to take advantage of their own natural reaction instincts where they're not thinking. You got to take advantage of those and kill mans in that and counter them in that, right? So, you know, that's how mans operate at elite levels. So OG should get better at that, and I think he will. Now, that was kind of like a synopsis, kind of what happened in the last game, or sorry, the Nuggets game. The last game with the Pelicans, man, like, they got blown out, and that was more so I see people like saying, you know what, they don't have big. This is why the Raptors need a big, and I'm here to address that, right? I've addressed it in previous videos and stuff like that, but like, yes, the Raptors need a big, but what do you give up? Which hill are you going to die on, right? You have to go with the lesser of two evils, right? Which weakness do I dive into? Which one will lead me to more positives, and which one, like which one outweighs the two, right? So you got to look at it from that perspective. Like when you dissect, yes, and from the hindsight and just from the naked eye, you look at it, Raptors need a big, obviously, right? Rim protection, rebounds, all that type of stuff, right? That's, you just look at when you look at just numbers, stats, right? Raptors, you know, are weak or not as great in those areas. And if they are, they have to be in tune with each other, you know, in terms of defensive continuity, moving on a string, everybody boxing out. Like, they have to do more than the basic to cover that ground, as opposed to other teams other guys could leak and whatever, because you know that big is going to get the rebound 8 times out of 10. So, you know, they're always going to win the battle, right? Similar to like a Gobert, Andre Drummond. There's so many guys like that, right? Jokic, etc. So you could get away with being thin, or, you know, not having 2 bigs, or having a power forward that can get rebounds. Like you can get away with it, right? Where the Raptors can't. They have to be on the string at all times, or else JV is going to get the rebound and bully. Jackson Hayes, like, then Terror's just going to be sweet. So, you know, and going to be light down there. So when you look at it from that perspective, man, it's just, I get why the naked eye says, get a big, get a big, get a big. But if you look at the Raptors now offensively, Raptors have moments and situations like versus the Pelicans where they're offensively challenged. Other teams, if they don't hit shots, it's not necessarily over. They could at any point turn it around. Why? Because the shot quality that they're actually shooting and that they're throwing up is actually great quality. So eventually that shooting won't last in a Fugazi shooting range. Eventually it will turn around and they'll get hot in moments. You see now with the Brooklyn Nets versus the Knicks, the shot quality is prime and supreme. So then now at certain, you're going to eventually get hot when you're taking great shots for each person's ability, right? Maybe a 3 for that type of curling 3 that Patty Mills or that Steph Curry shoots is not the same type of 3 that you want, you know, a Bruce Brown or you want another guy shooting. But for each person's ability, the shots that they're getting are of what they do and normal for them and actually great looks for them, right? Very capable of hitting. It's not really contested as much. And if it is, you know what I mean, it's capable for those guys to hit. But for the most part, it's not really contested, right? When you look at it, maybe late closeouts or etc. But they normally take smart shots, right? So when you look at that, if you're missing those, you start out the game and now you're down 20, 28, and you're missing those, you keep at the same pattern, same up-tempo offense, same setting screens, same actions. You don't change anything and start going one-on-one to bring it back. You keep your actions. Eventually, you'll regress to the means because the shot quality is great. So that's when you see teams like that can come back, or like even if they're shooting bad, they don't ever worry because regardless, the spacing on the floor is going to, you know, equip and enable those type of shots, that shot quality, right? It's always going to be there at the forefront at any time within the offense, right? Because the spacing dictates that. So now if a guy drives, even if you're those coming off the screens, those shots aren't there or it's not hitting. Now, if you switch it up and have Bruce Brown drive to the paint or any guy drive to the paint on other teams too, where they have proper spacing, now they collapse. You're going to get a 3 pass to that guy. He kicks it one more to the corner. You're going to have that shot quality in different varieties because the spacing dictates that, right? You have the person on the floor that's going to basically enable you to have open shots because the spacing, the personnel, you have more shooters than non-shooters in the game. So it balances out. Where for the Raptors, if you look at it for the most part, other than the starting lineup where they have 3 versus 2, right? You have 3 shooters, OG, Trent, and Van Vliet. The back end, you know, the bigs, Pascal and Siakam, they can shoot here and there. So you have kind of like, you know, 3 guaranteed shooters and 2 that can kind of here and there, but not really. They're basically non-shooters, but at least you have 3 guaranteed shooters. So it's 3 versus 2. You're outweighed. So the floor balance, even if you have bad spacing, you could get away with it because you still have spacing with those 3, right? For the most part. Now the Raptors, they do a lot of unconventional lineups where you have Banton, Precious, like you have 4 guys who don't shoot, only 1 shooter, maybe just OG. Especially now Van Vliet was out for the versus the Wolves, but even versus the Pelicans, he was there. You have a lot of lineups where there's more non-shooters than shooters, right? Maybe only 2 shooters, only 1 shooter. And when I mean shooter, I mean guaranteed. Like we know the personnel is, and the, you know, scouting report says don't let that guy shoot, right? So the defense can get away with collapsing, and because the spacing doesn't dictate great shot quality from who you want the shot quality from, right? The shot quality will be good for maybe a Pascal or whatever in terms of they might get open 3s, but those aren't the guys you want shooting 3s at a high volume anyways. So the defense will live with that. So that's why when Raptors struggle, a lot of the times they don't bounce back from their struggle because now that makes Van Vliet shots even harder. That makes Trent shots even harder. That makes OG shots even harder. Even they go into pull-ups, mans could help OD because they know they're not hitting right now. They could even sag off the shooters now. And not only that, the guys they already were sagging off, they already sagged off. So the court is already, they already shrunk the floor. And it's like, dog, it's harder to snap out of that when your personnel doesn't give you or enable you to snap out of that in terms of shot quality. It makes it harder. When you have non-shooters the shooters' jobs gets harder and harder and harder to get out that slump because they're not always getting open looks. They have to do more to create. Like when they're already hidden, now it makes it easier for the paint because now you got to step out to this guy, step out to that guy. And the Raptors love the paint. So that's why it's twofold. So that's why you see when the Raptors were on this win streak, a lot of it, their shooting percentages were very high and they were scoring a lot. And the games that they even weren't scoring that much, their defense locked it up or they still shot decent. They didn't shoot hella low in terms of just percentages and on the perimeter, right? They were shooting great for the most part. Or you had one guy who was snapping and then it trickled down, etc. But in games like this, these are winnable games, but now it makes it look like to the naked eye, the big is the problem, right? Versus the Pelicans, JV, and whatever, which it is. But it's you can overcome that like they did in their win streak with your shooting hot. But the Raptors, that's the problem with them when they're not shooting hot because of the personnel. Offensively, it's counterproductive because of the spacing. So now imagine you answer the question or the problem at hand, which is we have no big. Go ahead, you get a big, right? Let's say you just get a big with the same lineup. That's gonna now make you're gonna have more non-shooters in the game. It's gonna help the area of yes, you get rebounds or whatever, but offensively, you're still gonna be challenged. You're even gonna be more challenged because now the guy who's eating like Pascal and Scotty when they go into the paint, especially Pascal, now his eating is gonna decrease drastically because you have a big man sitting there, right? A defensive rim protecting Gobert type of big man like a Nerlens Noel if they got him sitting there. If they have Turner, that's different because he could shoot. I'm talking about if you got this typical Tyson Chandler, DeAndre Jordan, Rudy Gobert, you know what I mean? Those type of big men, Nerlens Noel, Mitchell Robinson, those type of shot blocking, athletic, lob threat big men. Capella is one where they have no bag and they're just in the paint, no shooting, no skill to that magnitude, just a regular big, right? A roll threat big. That's gonna sus Pascal even more. We already seen what that did. Even when they thought they had a shooting big in Aaron Baines and he couldn't shoot, we've seen how the effect happened. He's able to get away with it. He always has eaten when he went to the 5 or he went to the 4. We have a Scotty going to the 5. It's like they're basically playing 4-5, both of them together. It's always going to help Pascal because the pain is basically his more so, right? And even though Scotty, you know, sometimes clashes with that play style, it's only one guy as opposed to multiple guys. So now you put a big who's always there guaranteed, you're going to see it affect him, which now affects the Raptors offense, etc. So you might answer this question or this problem at hand, but then it opens up a new can of worm of problems as opposed to you're blessed in these categories and you just have this one problem. I rather go with that because it's less problems. You got to look at the magnitude of you got to weigh out your options, right? Which hill do you die on? What's the lesser of two evils? This one with the Raptors, just lack of big. It only affects you in certain scenarios. For the most part, that's why they were on an in-game winning streak, and they have won for the most part of the season a positive record because it doesn't affect in this NBA. It doesn't affect you that much because the bigs like a Gobert that are role threats don't affect you. The bigs like the JV who have a bag and can go down low, or the Embiid or the Jokic, like guys like that, the Cousins or whoever, guys like that. Yes, it could affect you, right? Or maybe a Steven Adams, even though he's a role threat, but he's so dominant at being physical and whatever that offensive rebounds, kickouts to threes. He might not necessarily be scoring, but the rebounds and the stuff he's creating is just it's killer. So when you look at it from that perspective, I rather have that as a weakness as opposed to I fix that and then my offense is just atrocious. It's even going to be worse. That's what I'm saying. So you can't really just isolate things that are happening. You have to look at everything in the full grand scheme of things, and then you could see, okay, you know what? Yes, we have no big, but this is the best case scenario for us right now. It's just living with no big and going forward. Don't break. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I'm saying? Right? So, when you look at it from that perspective, man, that was that game. And then obviously last night's game with the Wolves, man, the Wolves were, you know, it was a struggle. Well, they were killing at first. You know, Gary Trent was hot. And then it became a struggle, and you could see Gary Trent start getting double teamed some more, and the spacing. Again, you saw what I was saying, the spacing not hitting as much, you know, and you could see the spacing just clogging. Pascal did pretty good, but then you could see even with the turnovers, the doubling, and the shrinking the floor. Just the Raptors spacing, I don't love at all, man. It's just sometimes it's hard to watch, but the Raptors make it work because of the athleticism, just how they're smart in their high lows and big to big passing, because the bigs they have aren't bigs that don't have other skill sets around just rebounding or whatever. They have bigs like they're not really bigs. They're playing as bigs. Even Kem Birch, he's a power forward playing as a center, 6'9", right? If you go traditionally, right? You look at Precious, he's more so like a Bam, but even smaller, 6'8", athletic, mobile, but he has the big man prototype, right? But he still has other skills like the ball handle, can pass. So you see even Boucher, wiry, big, but they have guard type of skill sets in terms of passing, IQ, running, just little things like that you see them, they could make it work with the non-spacing at times. That guy gets it, turns his head, that guy cuts freely, and he passes it to him, and it's not like a big with a slow pass and reads it late, and so you could get away with double. You know what I mean? Is they have guards playing as bigs or wings playing as bigs. So when you look at it from that perspective, that's why they're able to make this non-spacing at times work, that people don't really see that it's non-spacing. But versus teams that like are lengthies, Brandon Ingram, JV, and Jackson Hayes on the court at the same time, they can shrink, dig the floor, and there's no Van Fleet, you know, stuff like that in certain games. Well, that game there was, but even this game with Towns, Vanderbilt, you have a lot of these guys, McDaniels, lanky type of guys, right? You could see that they could shrink the floor at times, and then you create steals, and then they get fast breaks. So, you know, it's just unfortunate that the spacing is like this, but Raptors are making it work, man. They're finding a way to make it work. Playoffs, I think, is going to be a huge problem. You'll see, but for the most part, regular season, they're making it work, and you know, they have some benefits in those scenarios as well, too, right? Like sometimes I'm looking, there's Boucher, Precious, and Banton are hugging around the paint with Pascal not too far off. Like I'm like, dog, this is atrocious spacing, fam. Like it's just it bothers my eyes to watch, especially as a purist. It's just like, dog. In this new NBA, I mean, like, this is how it used to be, throwback, but, like, when you see mans with no space, and that's why Kobe getting buckets, or MJ, like, especially Kobe, like, with no spacing, three guys that can't shoot. Even the 3-and-D guy wasn't really 3-and-D, he was just defense, right? So he spaces out to even just the midi, then you have the power forward and the center that don't shoot one lick, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, god damn, you have a Kwame Brown and a, you know, like, dog, it's crazy. So when you look at it or you have a Shaq and then a Horace, you have a Shaq and then a, you know what I mean? You have another power forward that don't really shoot that much. Like, dog, it's just crazy. And if he shoots, he's only at the free throw line. Like, so it's just spacing. None. No spacing at all. You have the bruiser at the 4. That's what it used to be. So I'm used to seeing this no spacing, but then that was normal for the league. Every team had that. And then now you're reversing where every team now has spacing in terms of a 4 that could shoot. And then you're now doing this. That's where it's like, dog, it just hurts the eyes, man. It just hurts to watch. So, honestly, like, you know, the Raptors' capabilities, you got to love to see it. Thaddeus Young played good, you know, a lot of slips, a lot of just cuts. Not slips, but just backdoor cuts, slipping in, like, you know, scenarios in weak spots in the zone, etc. And just man's helping and shading. He's backdooring or just slipping perfectly, cutting perfectly random cuts and getting those soft touch floaters. You know, you got blocked that one play, but soft touch floaters. For the most part, Pascal's been passing great, 17, 9, and 9. 6 turnovers, which you don't like, but he's been passing good. And, you know, that one play could have been a charge and should have been a charge at the end. That, you know, when it was a crucial possession down the stretch with like around 2 minutes. But he got away with it, and, you know, sometimes it happens like that. But for the most part, man, you know, the Raptors are just showing you what elite looks like. They're showing you what elite looks like. 2-game lull. But they're back on their shit right now, so that's good to see. Gary Trent snapping. You better ask him. That boy cashing, boy. Like he the captain, boy. What are we talking about, yo? Just beautiful to see, man. You know, just at the end of the day, you just got to love what you see, man. I like what I see from the Raptors. Even in their losses, it's like, for the most part, they're in a good stretch. They're in a good stretch. I wish OG would still be more aggressive than I want him to be, than he's being. But, you know, like 4 for 11, and the last game, what did he do? Last game, OG was what? OG shot horrendous. Probably he was he only shot 1 for 5, like 5 shots. Like Scotty has more shots than, like, you got to be aggressive, fam, in the game. But 4 for 16, yeah. But like, I know he's still struggling to find himself since Pascal came back. He hasn't really been killing like that. When he first started, like, he has never got to that. Even Scotty hasn't even got to that. So you can see them individually have been hindered since Pascal comes back. That's natural, though, when you have, like, your top guy coming back, etc. But the drop off is too drastic. It's too drastic. He needs to be more aggressive. I understand like the usage and he's not getting the same opportunities, but I see him with the ball sometimes, Pat. Like, you got to be aggressive. Like, that's why you see Trent is always shooting. Trent doesn't get affected because he's always aggressive. Like that, he's barely like, dog, you'll rarely see him with even like 2-3 assists, fam. Because why am I passing for? You guys ball handle. When I get it, I'm scoring first. He's J.R. Smith, basically. Like, I'm scoring first, everything else second. Cam Thomas as well, too. You know what I'm saying? That's what, when you're trying to advance your craft, you have to be aggressive. Now, doesn't mean you're not going to pass at all or whatever. Like, that's just how it plays out, right? For the most part, though, be aggressive. Especially when you don't need to paint to score. You don't really need to pass, to be honest. When you get it. When you're playing off the ball a lot of the times, you're coming off screens, whatever, you're chilling out, you're spotting up. When you get it, boom, make your move 5 seconds or less and get a bucket, fam. That's the only way you're going to get a bucket. Or if a man drives and kicks to you, are you really going to rely on scoring 15 to 20 off catch and shoot? That's not possible. When guys hold the ball in this league, how they hold the ball with the space in, like, it's not possible. So, you know what I mean? That's why you see those shooters, they average maybe 13, 4, like on a team where they have to be hella open because you sag off that guy because, you know, that guy's so potent. So you're going to get more looks because he draws so much attention. Yes, but average 15 to 20 off catch and shoots, like, especially when you're a creator, that's not ideal if you're trying to advance your craft. Like, OG should not just be relying on catching and shooting. Like, be aggressive, fam. Learn from Trent, yo. Trent just came in here 1.5 seasons, not even 2 halves right now. It's half a season last year, half a season this year. So basically 1 year. Look what he's doing, yo. You gotta be aggressive, OG. I played, yo. If you're trying to advance your craft, you have to be aggressive, yo. You have to. When you get the ball, you're in the post, go to work first, everything else second. And I promise you, yo, your percentages will increase, everything will increase, your comfortability will increase, your overthinking, like, do I shoot this now? Do I, like, you know what I mean? Will decrease, and then that means you're just playing out there without thinking, but thinking smartly at the same time will increase. Read and react will increase. Like, you just play with more, freedom and more, just the shackles are off. You could see it's not that the shackles are on. He's putting them on himself, right? Because you see he's getting the ball. It's not like he's not. So you can't only thrive when I have it and I don't have to worry about even hitting the next man. Yes, if you were just a complete bench man, but when you had that opportunity and you snapped, now that you come back and you have the skill set to do it, there's no way that you should go back to, I'm just chilling out, you know what I mean? Okay. Like, there's no excuse for OG to take 5 shots. I don't care what game we're in. There's no excuse. Especially when you're the shooter. You, Fred VanVleet, and Trent are the shooters. There's no Svi. There's no other shooter. Like, man, you're the shooter, yo. The ball's going to gravitate towards you, fam, and it does. Be aggressive. I see so many times, instead of him being aggressive, he's probing and he passes it to Pascal cutting. Like, he's cutting. Let that guy drop to the cut and you escape. Use that cut as an escape for yourself. You know what I'm saying? As a diversion to, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what guys do in the pick and roll. They run the pick and roll, and when the guy rolls, they don't hit the guy. Even if some bare times he's open, they use it as a diversion. That guy, they know this guy's going to leave me. I killed him off the screen. He's screening that guy. He's out the way. The big stepped up. But once that guy rolls, he's leaving. He's going to go back to him. So when that guy rolls, hit him with an escape. You get more space, and it's a bucket. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you see, man's pulling the drop coverage all the time where they switch. They're half switching. Once that guy rolls or the guy backdoor cuts, they're going to react to that. So now I continue to shoot, or I pass fake and now I shoot, or I escape and do a probe dribble or whatever. Like, I shot create in those windows. You've seen Cam Thomas live off that with just PNR in the 4th quarter. That's all he did. High PNR. The man fake, comes, hesitate, Mitchell, and then step back on your beam, escape on your beam, like killing him. Dog, come on now, OG. You're getting the rock in maybe not high PNR scenarios. Sometimes you are, but you're getting the rock in the corner. Don't just, it's not open shot, okay. Pass back to VanVleet. What are we doing, yo? Go to work, fam. Go to work. I'm getting tired of it, OG, man. You got to advance your craft. You got to, man. It's like, dog, come on now. But anyways, for the most part, we'll see how this, again, when they come back, we'll see how it goes. Let mans get some rest. They don't play till the 25th. So that's what? Today's the 17th. That's next, Friday. They got bear time off. You know what I'm saying? That's bear time. So they don't play till Friday. So, the fact that they don't play till Friday, that's beautiful to see. You got a dog. That's a whole week, yo. Get your mind right, especially OG, man. Come back aggressive. Go watch the film. Go see what you've been sussing. Because this last half, I feel like the ratings, everything, like, mans are gonna come for real, for real. I can anticipate it. It's always like that. But the way teams are like nice, even the bottom teams, like the Portland Trailblazers can beat you, even with these G League mans or guys who mans don't know of. And Anthony Simon's killing. The Pelicans, you see, they're together. They're trying to make that push. The Wolves are like, you know what I mean? These bottom team, the Kings, even though they got Sabonis. Like, every team, even from the bottom up, they could kill you, fam. Because they're not really bottom teams. Like, it's like, so, like, come on. That's why you're seeing so much balance in the East. So you gotta get right, yo, because every game is gonna be something. Every game's gonna be something, unless you face maybe a Detroit. And even then they're trying. Like, everybody tries, no matter what. But for the most part, 80% of the teams you face have the capabilities to beat you and the personnel and the talent to beat you at any given night. So you gotta be ready. You gotta be ready mentally. You gotta be ready team-wise. Continuity's gotta be on the utmost high, and man's gotta try and get these buckets, fam. So we'll see how this transpires. I'm waiting for it. You already know it's True Talks. It's True Talks. Share, like, and subscribe. We out here. There's no doubt here, and there's no drought here. You feel me? You already know. Click that notification button so you know when I'm here. Because I'm here. You feel me? I appreciate y'all. You already know. Click the Patreon link to, set it and forget it to help donate to your boy and support your boy. And then also, if you want to do a one-time, then you can click the PayPal link below. I appreciate y'all. I see y'all that are supporting your boy. Shout out to all of y'all, yo. Y'all are the real ones, yo. I appreciate y'all. You already know. We on the grind. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Spread the word, fam. Spread the word. Spread it all over whatever social medias as well. Click my social medias below, and you could go ahead and follow me on Twitter and all over the place. And, you'll see it when you see it. So, we grinding. We try to improve and, get out there even more. You already know. I appreciate y'all. And I'm out, man.